Hello, YouTube viewers. This is going to be MEPS Day 2 for people that are curious about MEPS. So, Day 2 of MEPS is the medical and contract and swearing in portion of MEPS. This is the full day of MEPS. Unlike the ASVAB, you will be at the MEPS building all day. You have to stay in the hotel the day before. So if you take your ASVAB, after you take your ASVAB, you'll be toted over to the Sheraton Hotel, and you have to stay the night. Since I did mine on two separate occasions, I left work early and drove to my recruiter station. I had to fill out some paperwork with my recruiter. He went over some of the stuff that's going to happen at MEPS to make sure I don't screw it up. And me and another guy were toted downtown to the Sheraton Hotel in Denver. And in that hotel, when we got there, there's a liaison that MEPS has there. She gave us food vouchers. So there's a dinner voucher and a breakfast voucher and our room keys. After she gave this to us, she told us to go over and get dinner before the kitchen closed. And she pretty much forced us, but I didn't care. I like food. Went over there, basic menu. Get a cheeseburger, or you can get chicken tenders, whatever you want. Just real basic menu. You're not gonna get a steak or something. You're in there usually in one section where the rest of the MEPS kids are, so you can talk to everyone else that's processing through MEPS the next day. And it's kind of cool. I talked to a lot of cool people, Air Force, Navy, and one Marine that was processing that day. After you eat, boys stay on the second floor in this hotel, and I think the ladies stay on the fourth floor. The gentlemen can't go up to the fourth floor because you have to badge in, or you have to scan your card. And our cards don't work on the fourth floor, so you can't sneak into the girls' rooms, so don't make them babies. Once you get to your room, you can go ahead and go to bed, or you can stay up for a little bit. Lights out is at 9 o'clock, so you want to make sure you're in your room by 9 o'clock, and it's probably a good idea. It was about 7:30 when I was there, so there's a game room on the second floor. I went over to the game room, and there's two Xboxes, there's a pool table, bunch of couches and TV. So I just hung out and BS with a bunch of people that were there for MEPS. Liaison came in about 9 o'clock and said, "Okay, lights out, everyone to your room. And you go back to your room." I wouldn't recommend sneaking out, and I definitely would not recommend drinking. I'll get to that more. I went back to my room. You're gonna have a roommate, most likely. My roommate was a person that I came over from my recruiting station from. Unfortunately for me, he had a very loud ringtone, and it kind of made sleeping at night very difficult. That night, I ended up throwing a lot of stuff at him and telling him to turn his freaking phone off. Finally, he caught on to the hint. I have my alarm clock set to 3:50. You do get a wake-up call. You actually get two. You get one at 4 o'clock and 4:15 in the morning. I set mine a little bit earlier because I wanted to get a head start before Mr. Doesn't Turn His Phone Off got up. At 3:50, starting to roll out of bed, he got up and went instantly into the bathroom and started getting ready. Kind of pissed. So hopefully your roommate situation was a little bit better than mine. He was in there for a good half an hour, just taking a shower. That's not counting everything else he did. And at some point, I had to bang on the door and tell him to get out so I can get ready because he was taking more time than. Well, he was taking a very long time. Let's just leave it at that. I got ready real quick, did the shave thing, got dressed up. Our recruiter made us dress nice, and this was both on ASVAB testing day and on the MEPS medical day. So nice shoes, slacks, and a collared shirt. This is technically you're interviewing for your future, life. You might as well make a good impression, right? A lot of people were in there in gym shorts and sleeveless shirts, and it clearly states on any paperwork that you read about MEPS that shorts are not allowed, hats are not allowed, which people were wearing, and I think you have to have sleeves on your shirts. I'm not positive about that one. But I dressed nice. There was other people dressing nice. I would not recommend going there in a three-piece suit, though. That's a little overdoing it. Anyways, go downstairs. You go ahead and eat breakfast. Basic breakfast: bacon, eggs, toast. The MEPS liaison will tell you not to get coffee. Coffee can raise your blood pressure, and you don't want to be disqualified because you have high coffee blood pressure. Okay. They also tell you not to drink orange juice because apparently orange juice can add protein to your urine, and if you have high protein in your urine, that can require more testing, which means you might not get the process through the rest of the stuff at MEPS. So I played it safe and got water. Most people did. After you're done, they had us line up in a single file line and go to the back of the building to get on the bus that will chart us to MEPS. So you throw your bag underneath the bus. We got on the bus and sat there for about 15 minutes. And then we drove 2 blocks down the street and we all got off the bus. The MEPS building is extremely close to the hotel we stayed in. And I think they, by law, have to probably tow us down there so we don't get hit by a car and they're liable for us. Regardless, you drive 2 blocks on the big bus. Get off the bus, grab your bag, and they kind of rush you, but it's not like, basic rushing. They're like, come on, get your bag, we got to get going. And you go into the lobby of the building MEPS is located in, and there's a couple Navy guys there. They have you line up into formation and make you go through your bags. And as you're going through your bags, you're checking for weapons or anything else that you can't have. And while you're doing that, they're telling you how the day is going to run, just to kind of give you a heads up. After we do that, you go up to the floor MEPS is located on. I think it was on the 4th floor in the building, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, when you go to the MEPS floor, you have to go through a metal detector before you can actually process through MEPS. There's only one metal detector in the Denver MEPS building, so it takes a little bit. There's a lot of people. When you get up there, you got to take your shoes off, take your belt off, take anything out of your pockets, including your wallet, and put them all in your shoe. And they stayed again, no weapons. Unfortunately for one guy, he forgot apparently that he had a box cutter on his keys, and he was warned. We were all warned about 15 times about weapons, but he had a little box cutter on his keys, and he was done for the day. They kicked him out, and he would have to come back at another time to process. So that kind of sucked for that guy. The rest of us made it through fine. After you make it through, we all lined up again and got ready to process through the medical portion. Everyone that was there should receive papers from your recruiter. These papers you have to hand to the front desk. So when you're processing through the line, when your turn comes up, the front desk will call you over and ask you for your folder. You give them your folder, and then they give you another folder. It's going to be a yellow folder with a bunch of papers in it. And you are told to go into the medical area of the MEPS building. When you get into the medical area of the MEPS building, they made everyone do a blood pressure test right away. Get your blood pressure checked, and after you get that, you had to go into another classroom inside the medical area. Everyone had to go in there. When everyone was in the classroom, they started going through, what's the correct way of saying it? Pretty much, again, what's going to happen throughout the day. So this is what we're going to do, deal with it, and then telling us that get out of people's ways. A lot of people that work at MEPS are civilians, and you kind of want to stay out of their way. You don't want to get in the way of. They're really busy. You pretty much get out of their way. That's the easiest way to say it. Otherwise, you're going to get a pissed off guy yelling at you to move. And then you have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. A lot of this paperwork is stuff that you're going to see that you've already seen. You should have filled it out at your recruiting station. And I think it's the same for all branches. And this is the stuff saying, have you ever broken a leg? Have you ever had asthma as a child? Have you ever smoked marijuana? Stupid questions like that. You have to fill out another paper. Just these questions look the same. They're just worded different. You have to read the questions. There are trick questions in there, and they're put in there on purpose to see if you're actually reading through and answering truthfully. So make sure you read them. And after you go through those, a lot of the paperwork there, they'll give you the download on it. After you go through the paperwork and everything else, you have to take a breathalyzer test. So they'll give you, everyone has to grab a tube. You blow into the breathalyzer until it clicks. If you didn't drink the night before, you should be good to go, and you go out to the main waiting area to take the rest of your test. Everyone in my group passed the breathalyzer, so I don't know what happens when you don't. $10 says that you get kicked out. Now you take the little medical tests. So the medical test consists of hearing test. That was my first test. You go into this little trailer in this room. It's a soundproof trailer. There's about eight seats. You put on your headphones. You can get a clicker. Okay. When they start the test, well, actually, a voice comes on and tells you what the test is going to do. Then the test starts. I don't know if it was because it was really early in the morning and I'm an idiot, but when the test started, I could hear the tones, but it sounded like the tones were really far away. So I didn't press the button at first. I started pressing the button and I passed, but apparently I wasn't the only one that did that because it just sounded weird. But remember, you're in a soundproof room with headphones on. It's part of the hearing test. After the hearing test, I did an eye test. I don't wear glasses or contacts, so I'm not going to be a big help for those people that have those questions. But you do the regular eye chart, read the letters, and then you do a colorblind test. Colorblind test is pretty easy. If you're not colorblind, you have to read the number on the page within 3 seconds. So you just go through 12, 27, blah, 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 blah. If you don't pass that, you have to take a secondary colorblind test. I didn't have to do this, but some people did. And it just consists of red and green lights. And if you don't pass that test, you get one more to take. I can't tell you much more about that because I don't know. If you have glasses and contacts, you have to do some other tests too. After the vision test I got my blood drawn. That's not too bad. Needles don't scare me. Some of the girls were screaming while they were doing it, and I think they were getting poked harder by the person every time they screamed because it scared the crap out of them. I recommend looking away. And if you are really that scared of needles, maybe the military is not the best idea because you're going to get stabbed with a lot of needles, especially in basic training. So this is good practice for you. After you get your blood drawn, you have to pee in a cup. I had problems with this, and I do recommend do not dehydrate yourself the night before. I wasn't even trying, but apparently I was extremely dehydrated. I had to go in there about the third time I tried. I was able to pee, and it was pretty dark. In case you were curious, but some people weren't unable to pee, and they warned you if you were not able to do it by a certain time, which for us was 11 o'clock. That we would have to come back and process through MEPS again. Pretty much we were done for the day if we didn't pee by 11. After you pee in the cup, another thing about peeing in the cup, a lot of people are nervous about this. This is the least of your worries. Yes, they do watch you, and no, they're not watching you. They're standing in the back, making sure that you're not, using synthetic urine, I think. I don't know for sure. It's not a big deal. They don't really care about your penis size. Women, I don't know exactly how they watch you guys, but I hear they do watch you guys too. So just beware. After you do that, around that time, we had to go to lunch. So they give you a food voucher. And I hear lunch is kind of similar for everyone. They have subs. You get like a pre-wrapped sub. They have chips, cookies, and you can get soda or water. I just did the sub and water. Then you go back to the medical area. When I got back into the medical area, they toted me into another room, and this is the room that everyone either dreads or makes fun of the most. This is where you do the so-called underwear Olympics. Women go into one room and men go into the other, and you guys both either room. We don't see each other, in case you were curious. Strip down into your underwear. When I got into the men's room, there were 6 guys in there already, and they were just sitting there in their underwear. And apparently they were sitting there for about half an hour because everyone went to lunch and the doctors left them in there. So they didn't get to eat lunch, and they're sitting in a freezing room in their boxers with a bunch of other guys. So I felt sorry for them. Whatever. I was told to strip down to my boxers. After I got down to my boxers, the doctor in there called me in for my mini physical. Check your heart, check your lungs, check your reflexes, check your belly. Make sure that you're you're not flat-footed or have high arches. Then the standard check the goods. Turn your head and cough. And this is the one that everyone, worse than getting your goods touched, everyone freaks out about this one. Yes, you do have to bend over and spread the cheeks. No, they're not going to stick a finger up your butt. That's just what they say to scare you, I think. They're just trying to make sure that you don't have hemorrhoids, I think. I'm not sure. You can ask the doctor while you're bending over and spreading. I don't really care. After you do that, you go back into the room with everyone else that's sitting in their boxers, and you wait for either that doctor or another doctor to come out to start your movement test. And this is what's called the Underwear Olympics. So the movement test, you just do stupid movements as a group. So you all put your arms out, like make sure your arms can go that way, that your joints work. One of them, you put your hands together and you fling them out as hard as you can, and you keep doing that while you raise your body up on your toes. Just stupid movement test. The hardest one a lot of people had was putting your feet together, squatting down, and slamming your knees on the ground. And when you slammed your knees on the ground, they had to slam at the exact same time. After you did that, you had to stand back up without moving your feet. Well, you had to keep your feet together, and you couldn't touch the ground. A lot of people had a hard time with that. I didn't have a hard time with it, so I can't tell you anything past that point. You do have to do the duck walk. Everyone freaks out about the duck walk. Duck walk's not that hard. Just squat down and walk across the room and walk back. If it is hard for you, I think that the duck walk is meant to figure out if you're able to do it or not. That's the whole point why we do the duck walk, to see if you're able to, if your joints are able to do that or not. After you go through all the movement tests, they had us do our height and weight. Make sure that you're within the standards of your branch, and then put your clothes back on and go back out into the room. I was done at this point, so I was done with the medical screening. I went on to the next part, which is getting my contract ready. So I went to my branch office, which is Army. So if you're not Army, this might be a little bit different, but I think it was pretty similar because I was talking to the Air Force and Navy guys that were sitting there too to see how theirs went. But anyways, when you get to your branch office, I had to run back and forth to the front desk to my branch office a few times. After I did that, I met with my counselor. We go through my contract. I already had a job picked. If you don't have a job picked at this point, you're going to go through the system, what your ASVAB scores, and pick a job. But since I already had one picked, double check the contract, make sure my job was good, make sure my rank was good. Since I have college, my rank is higher than other people. I'd make sure my rank was fine. Then you digitally sign each paper, and you have to digitally sign like 1,000 times. After you digitally sign, they print it out and they make you go to the front desk. When you go to the front desk, after you sign your contract, they make you go to another room where you get your fingerprints done, and I think you sign some more contracts. One in there, they made me go wash my hands so I could do my fingerprints, and then I had to read through a bunch of documents. Make sure you read your documents. At this point, the person was reading through the contract extremely fast, and she kept clicking through the screens before I could read the whole screen. So I had to stop her and tell her to go back. I was noticing a lot of people weren't even paying attention, and after every screen you had to put your finger down, or put your finger on the scanner to say that you understood what the screen said. I wouldn't recommend doing that, because if something wasn't right with your contract and you missed it and you signed it, it's going to be really hard to change it later on. So make sure you get it the first time, not the 5th time. Then they did my real fingerprints. So there's a big machine. I wasn't allowed to move my hands. She had to do it for me. So each finger, and pretty much she rolled it for you. Then you did the this full part of your finger. But anyways, she did the holding for me. I accidentally moved my hand once and she slapped it. So let her do the work unless they tell you to do it. Then I got congratulated, told to go back to my branch office, went back to my branch office, got congratulated again, and was told to go to the front desk to let them know I'm ready to be sworn in. Go to the front desk, they tell you, okay, congratulations, now you gotta wait until the next swearing in ceremony. Luckily for me, the next swearing in ceremony was about 5 minutes. You go down to the area where they do the swear-ins, and you go to another classroom. This classroom, they tell you about going AWOL and desertion. When they go through the whole thing about not to do it, what it is, what the fine is if you do it, jail time, stuff like that. And then they backtrack and say, well, if you're not shipping out today, you are put into the delayed entry program, and you are allowed to back out at any time up to the day that you ship. So technically you can't go AWOL or desert up until the day you ship as long as you do it properly. There is proper ways of getting out of it. But obviously you're there to join, so it's very rare that you're going to back out. But whatever. If you are going to back out, talk to your recruiter. After you do that, you go into the main room where everyone swears in. And this is the nicest room in the whole building. Has nice oak wood on the walls, the red carpet, and the podium. I was lucky. There was a lieutenant colonel there, doing a personal swearing with one of the girls from MEPS, and he swore my group of people into. You can have family there take pictures and document the event. My mom couldn't make it, so my recruiter was my stand-in mom. He took pictures of me with getting sworn in with the lieutenant colonel. And once you swear in, you're done. I had to wait there for about another 2 hours for the other person, my roommate, to finish his contract and get sworn in. And then we went home. I was done, my contract signed, and at that point, you're put into the delayed entry program. So, or future soldier program. So that's day 2 of the MEPS experience. Hopefully this video helped you out.